I still remember the moment my entire world stopped. One simple email, just one line, and everything I had worked for suddenly felt like it was slipping out of my hands. I was sitting at my desk, sipping my morning coffee, when my screen flashed with a meeting request labeled immediate. My heart tightened a little, but I didn't think much of it. I walked into that room expecting a routine discussion, maybe a new project, maybe feedback on my recent work. Instead, I was told my position was being terminated effective today. No explanation. No conversation. Just a quiet, polished sentence that felt strangely unreal. I remember staring at the table, trying to understand what I had done wrong, wondering how everything changed so quickly. The room felt too still, too cold, like the walls were closing in. And in that moment, all I could think was, why me? After the shock of that meeting settled, the confusion only grew. For days, I replayed every moment of the past few months, trying to piece together what truly happened. I had always shown up early, stayed late, and took on work that wasn't even mine. I believed dedication protected you. I believed effort was noticed. But as I started connecting the dots, I realized something else had been happening behind the scenes. A coworker I had helped many times, someone I trusted, had been quietly taking credit for my projects. They used my work to make themselves look stronger, while small mistakes from team efforts were quietly placed on my shoulders. It was subtle, almost invisible, but now it all made perfect sense. I felt this heavy mix of sadness and disbelief. It wasn't just that my job was gone. It was that someone I supported had broken my trust without hesitation. And that emotional weight stayed with me longer than any lost paycheck. The day everything finally collapsed is still clear in my mind. I remember sitting alone in my apartment, staring at the termination letter for what felt like hours. It was such a strange feeling, like the life I had worked so hard to build was suddenly being held together by threads that someone else had, quietly cut. My thoughts kept circling around the same question. How could something I gave so much to end this way? For the first time in a long time, I felt small. Not because I wasn't capable, but because I had trusted a workplace that didn't value honesty or effort. That realization hit harder than losing the job itself. The sense of being cast aside so easily stung deeply. I kept thinking about all the days I pushed through exhaustion, believing it meant something. But after the initial wave of heartbreak, something surprising happened. A small spark inside me started to rise, a feeling that maybe this experience wasn't the end, but the beginning of something I never expected. After the shock settled, I knew I needed answers. Not out of bitterness, but because something inside me refused to accept that this was simply how things go. I started reading through old emails, project files, and comments from supervisors, anything that could help me understand what truly happened. The more I looked, the clearer it became that my termination didn't come from a mistake or misunderstanding. It came from choices made behind closed doors. Choices that pushed me out so someone else could benefit. That realization hurt. It wasn't just a broken promise. It felt like a betrayal of trust I didn't even know I had placed in them. But strangely, as painful as it was, the truth also brought a kind of clarity I hadn't expected. Instead of feeling lost, I started to feel grounded again. I began documenting everything carefully, not to harm anyone, but to protect myself and finally bring light to what had been hidden. It was the first step toward reclaiming my story. Once I understood what had happened, I faced a choice. I could let anger control me, dwell on betrayal, and react impulsively. Or I could approach the situation with calm, honesty, and integrity. I chose the latter. I carefully organized all the documentation I had gathered, emails, project files, notes, everything that clearly showed the truth. I reached out to the right people in leadership and HR, not to attack anyone, but to explain my side and seek fairness. Each step I took was measured, respectful, and intentional. It wasn't easy. There were days when I felt frustrated and questioned myself. Am I doing the right thing? But I reminded myself that reacting impulsively wouldn't fix anything. Acting with integrity, staying calm, and presenting facts would give me power without compromising who I am. That choice, though quiet and slow, felt liberating. I realized that standing up for yourself doesn't require anger. It requires clarity, patience, and courage. After presenting the facts calmly and clearly, the process began to unfold. Leadership and HR reviewed everything I had collected, spoke with relevant team members, And slowly the truth started to emerge. It wasn't instant, and there were no dramatic confrontations, just the quiet realization that fairness and honesty were finally being acknowledged. When I saw the outcome, I felt a mix of emotions. Relief, because the truth was finally recognized and my perspective had been heard. Sadness, because it took so much energy and trust to get to this point. Gratitude, because I had remained calm and acted with integrity even when it felt impossible. That moment taught me something powerful. You don't have to take down anyone to protect yourself. Facts, honesty, and patience are enough. By staying true to your values, you can reclaim your dignity and move forward stronger than before. It was a quiet victory, one built on integrity, not retaliation. Looking back, this experience taught me lessons I'll carry for life. I realized that even in workplaces we trust, unexpected betrayals can happen. It's painful, yes, but how we respond to those moments defines us far more than what others do. I learned that standing up for yourself doesn't require anger, revenge, or drama. It means acting with honesty, documenting facts, and calmly seeking fairness. Choosing integrity over impulsive reactions protects your dignity and strengthens your confidence. Patience, clarity, and self-respect are far more powerful than any emotional response. Since that time, I've approached my career and relationships differently. I trust my instincts, value transparency, and remember that shortcuts or hidden actions may bring temporary gains. But integrity always leaves a lasting mark. So now I ask you, if this happened to you, what would you do? Share your thoughts below, and if this story resonated, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more real, heartfelt stories about navigating life's challenges.